Assuming that Boris Johnson becomes the next Prime Minister, I understand that his conditions for serving in his government would include accepting a no-deal exit on the 31st of October. That is not something I could ever sign up to. It's very important that a Prime Minister is able to have a Chancellor who is closely aligned with him in terms of policy, and I therefore intend to resign to Theresa May before she goes to the palace to tender her own resignation on Wednesday.
I can never remember a Chancellor of the Exchequer, or indeed another senior.
Do you know when you have this warm feeling inside of you, this warm feeling that something positive is going to happen out of this weekend, or even next week, and I'm also looking forward to something that's going to happen at the end of the week, and you know, I've just in a pleasant mood and really enjoying the fact of the break and the fact that my daughter's now off for 6 weeks. I'm enjoying the future. And one of those futures is Phillip Hammond, that's decided that he's going to resign after PMQs. See, Phillip Hammond is no different to the likes of George Osborne. George Osborne told us and promised us that we're going to have an emergency budget, that we're going to have 500 to 600, 700, 800,000 jobs go. The economy is going to crash. Every household is going to have an extra 5,000 put on top of them. David Cameron talked about something to do with World War III. All this sort of scaremongering. Now, Phillip Hammond's just as bad as them two. In reference to the scaremongering stories that have come out ever since, I don't know, they changed government and Theresa May got into power. Because somehow just leaving on Brexit was such a really, really bad idea. Now leaving on no deal is just bloody chaos, disastrous, absolutely mental. See, if anyone was to look back in history and realise that what's been said today and yesterday and the day before and the day before has actually been said about when we decided not to go into the euro. It's the same sort of scare stories, that our economy is going to crash, loads of jobs are going to go. In fact, if we actually had joined the euro, we would be in a really bad place right now. Taking the point that most of Europe is actually either in recession or very, very close to recession, and we're still growing. Now, I'm not saying in the near future or maybe even further on that some sort of recession is not going to hit. I think that would be quite naive, because every 10 to 15 years our economy does take a hit. But the fact is, the likes of Phillip Hammond and a good majority of the people in Parliament today, the 650, shouldn't be there because they don't believe in democracy. They believe in their own lives. I guess they're worried about their au pairs and whether or not their coffee is going to rise in price. But the fact is that 17.4 million people have decided to leave the EU, and they don't like it. They don't like the fact that me and you have actually got a brain. Not realising that nation states are the ones that we should be trading with. Understand these nation states we've known for centuries and have had partnerships with for centuries. The fact is that all our economies in one way or another are interlinked. We all trade with each other, we all like each other, and we love going to each other's countries. The EU is a political union that's ready to rip all those nations apart and just literally put them in the parliament of the EU. However, none of these nation states is going to be able to put through legislation. They're only going to be able to vote on whatever the Commission decide they're going to vote on. And as time goes on and as more the nation states start deteriorating and going into the parliamentary system, then democracy is going to start going further and further and further away. Before long, a normal person like myself and you won't be able to vote anyone in or out of that union. It's a federal Europe. It's not anything to do with individualism. It's to do with groups. It will come to a point where you won't be able to say certain words like it is in the UK today, not like it is in America. You won't be able to do certain things because the EU are going to class it as criminal. They're going to have control of our police, they're going to have control of our army, they're going to have control of our government, they're going to have control of every part of what you live in. That is what Phillip Hammond, that is what George Osborne, that is what David Cameron, that is what Theresa May, and the majority of the 650 that are in Parliament today. They're aware that's where Europe is going. They're aware that's where the EU is going. It's down to us to make sure that Europe doesn't go that way. And it's down to us to educate as many people as possible in our country and in the Western world, especially in Europe, that the EU is a corrupt system that's going to corrupt our own freedoms. Take care, everyone.